What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Blade Podcast, the podcast about film production, post production, and marketing. I am your host, Lungile Mayindi. Welcome to a brand new episode. Okay, so in today's episode, we're going to be talking about some lessons that I learned from South by Southwest. So, lessons I learned from South by Southwest 2021. Okay, so obviously I went to the festival. It was online and there was a lot of like awesome sessions, speakers, movies. There was so much stuff, music. There were sessions about tech, film, anything you could think about. But I'm going to be focusing on the film talks. Specifically, the topic is audience building. So there was a really, really great session that I got the opportunity to watch on the South by Southwest Festival, and it was talking about audience building. And I'll talk about why audience building is important for us as content creators and filmmakers. I was thinking about, it really is really in our favor to help build an audience, because in today's world, obviously there's not a lot of movies playing in theaters and all these distributors are trying to hold on to the old system. And what's happening is a lot of us as filmmakers are stuck with content. Maybe you've produced a movie or a web series and maybe you wanted to release it in cinema or something like that. And now you can't. And now you want to go to like a video VOD platform like Netflix or whoever. And usually, if you don't know how to contact these VOD platforms, it's going to be very hard. It's not easy to access them. It's kind of like a gated, closed gate sort of system. I mean, you have to be really well known to be able to pitch stuff to them or want to license stuff to them. Or you need to work with a sales agent and distributors that are going to take a cut of your movie. Obviously, that's what always happens. But I'm just thinking, in a new world, if you had direct access to your audience, you would be able to just release your movie straight online on your own OTT platform or iTunes and advertise it straight to your audience. It would just be easy for you to make money if you had no choice and you couldn't release it in theaters. And that's something that they were talking about at the session and something that I've been thinking about. What I loved about the session is the idea that, if you build an audience, it can really, really help you when it comes to the business side of your projects. Whether you have a web series or a film, it's very important to know your audience, because it's going to help with a lot of stuff. It's going to help in terms of how you're going to market, where you're going to find them online, what brands you can collaborate with in order to find your product, your project. It's just going to help you with a lot of things, even marketing. Because, as we look at things now, let's look at Disney. There's a new series called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yes, they released a series on their platform, but they have so much money. They marketed that series everywhere. They had like a gazillion trailers. I'm sure there were magazines with Anthony Mackie, and the guy who plays Bucky everywhere. And I saw they even had like a fireworks display in Australia or the UK. And they spent so much money to get people to watch the program. And if you're like a lone producer or an independent filmmaker, you don't have that much money. And, for you to market your project, for you to get on radio or to get press, it's expensive. To go on a talk show, you have to pay. To go on a podcast, to work with influencers, you have to pay. So you don't really have a lot of money as much as Disney and Warner Bros. And all these other big companies. And you have to be able to leverage your money and maximize. So I think this is why I think this session was so important. So one of the things they spoke about is that, when you're audience building, it's very important to know who your audience are before you even come up with your concept, or maybe as you're beginning to come up with your concept for your project, is to basically come up with an idea of who that target market is. Where do they live? What do they do? In fact, you can even come up with audience avatars. So there could be just another fancy word for user profile. So you can imagine 3 members of your audience. Think about their age, gender, profession, where do they live, what do they do, what do they like. You can have character sketches. You can name them. In fact, maybe some of these avatars could be one of your friends that are working with you in your project. So that would make things easier. So once you've built all these 3 avatars, you can add more things like what type of productions do they love? What kind of things do they like? Activities? What type of content do they like? Clubs, hobbies? Because once you know these things, you can kind of figure out where do they live online. So if you do make a paid media advert on Facebook or Twitter, you kind of know how to direct the ads at them, because you don't want to. If you want to reach everyone, you're gonna have to pay a lot. So if your ad is much more focused and you have all this info, it's gonna really, really, really help you. You can even develop a thing where you list what is that person's core longing, what are their problems, what do they like to watch, where do they like to watch it? Do they like going to cinemas or watching it at home or with other people? Just like basic info. Maybe you can even ask your friends. Sometimes you can even make it up, because if you do this, it's really, really, really going to help you. I think another way this can help you is, let's say, you made your movie and you didn't find a distributor, or you couldn't sell your movie to a sales agent, or, maybe you made your web series and now you want to promote it. You have to do everything yourself. Basically, you have to self-distribute. So what you can do, if you know who your audience are, you can even host a screening and sell tickets for your production. You can find out where they live and find other brands you can collaborate with for your screening, and where to advertise. Maybe they might have Facebook groups. So for instance, here in South Africa, we've got the SA Horror Fest, and we've got the SA Horror Fest Facebook page. So if I know I'm making a horror movie or horror content and I want to advertise, I can speak to the admin of SA Horror Fest and speak to them about collaborating or paying them so that I could advertise my movie on their platform. That will be something that is more targeted that I could do. Or I could speak to influencers that deal with horror. Maybe there's people that review horror movies. I can speak to those influencers on YouTube. If I have a lot of money, I can try to get a review at Bloody Disgusting or Dread Central or YouTube channels. But you see, it gives you a way to be able to something to basically to have a guide, having an audience avatar and database and information about your audience helps you so that you can be able to know what to do with your project, because it doesn't help making a project and then not knowing how to market it, because as filmmakers, we're entrepreneurs, we're marketers, and we're creatives, so we have to kind of balance both things, because those things, like it or not, they do affect the business side. So we really need to be able to make money from our productions. Or even if you're making a web series and you want to get as much exposure as possible, it's really, really good to have a marketing plan. And a marketing plan starts with building audience avatars. And once you build these audience avatars and all these hypotheses about your audience, you can test them, hone them, refine them, change them, because then you have a system of reaching that audience. A really bad idea is that if your movie is about sneakers, it's so easy to find a group where sneakerheads always meet up. I'm sure there's a sneaker group somewhere. I know there's a sneaker heads event that happens here in South Africa. So you see, once you know the audience, it's so easy to reach them. You don't have to market like crazy and try to reach everyone. So yeah, I think this is something that we can really use in order to market our projects better, be smarter with our marketing and business side of the filmmaking process, because as much as we want to make cool stuff, we need to be able to market it. Usually distributors do this for you, but sometimes distributors don't even know, and sometimes you might not even get a distributor. So it's just something to think about, something to plan for, and something to look into, because like that's what I've been doing. Like I've realized, like, as much as I make content, I need to be able to market it. I need to learn about different marketing techniques, how to do paid social media ads, how to work with influencers, how to publish articles at publications, get their rate cards, just have that on deck so that by the time I have a finished project, I have a strategy and I know how I'm going to reach the people. And I don't have to like go to the wrong radio station or the wrong influencer, because I keep saying my movie's for everyone. I don't think there's movies like that. I mean, unless if it is, it's still going to be really hard to reach everyone. So to have 3 target audiences, 3 avatars, is really going to help you segment your communication for your project. Because the whole thing of like, check out my project, it's really lame. I mean, you see it with people that release mixtapes. I mean, if they knew who their audience are, they could write better copy, advertise better in order to reach the audiences. But yeah, I think that's just something that I thought about, something that I learned from watching this South by Southwest session about audience building. I think it's really cool. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. This has been an episode of the Blade Podcast, the podcast about film production, post-production, and marketing. And I'm your host, Lungile. If you like this video, if you're watching this on YouTube, please drop a comment, suggestions, or if you're listening to this on any podcast platform, send me a mail. I've got an email in the description, in the podcast description. I'd love to hear from you guys. Until next time, guys, stay safe and keep creating.